Y'all still think we're crazy? Or do you think there's a chance that this Bible is actually true?
Fired. His security clearance has been revoked. We don't know why, but he did something so egregious that even this White House revoked his security clearance. What we do know is that Rob Malley brought in 3 senior advisors, all of whom were Iranian operatives. They were spies. They were recruited by the Iranian government. Those 3 Iranian operatives were helping lead the Biden administration's policy on Iran, and one of them remains a chief of staff in a senior position. I think the risk of a major terrorist attack in the United States is higher today than it has been at any time since September 11th, 2001. And it's a combination, number one, of Biden's disastrous foreign policy that has produced the biggest war in the Middle East and the most significant attack on Israel in 50 years. That combined with Biden's open borders, and that open borders exists with the acquiescence and support of every single congressional Democrat. And nobody is watching, nobody is on guard in this administration because Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and Alejandro Mayorkas are more concerned with partisan politics than with their solemn obligation to keep Americans safe. And so I would encourage everyone right now, be vigilant, watch, because these are dangerous and perilous times. But the Biden administration...
That there will be a 1 million-man army come from the east, that speaks of China, and that the Euphrates River will dry up so that this army can pass over into Israel. Did you know in the last few years something supernatural has taken place and the Euphrates River has dried up? Don't take my word, go home and Google it. You will see that unexplainedly, the Euphrates River that has flowed forever has dried up, fulfilling biblical prophecy. What about Ezekiel 38? Ezekiel 38 talks about 2 countries, Gog and Magog. The Bible, before it was even in existence, prophesied Russia. Gog and Magog represents Russia and Iran. And it says at one point there will be a war break out around Israel, and Russia's enemies, Gog and Magog, will surround Israel from the north and from the south. Now it's interesting that in the last few months, Russia has entered into a treaty with Iran, just like the Bible prophesied. Iran is funding 2 terrorist groups, Hamas and Hezbollah. Hezbollah is in the north of Israel. Hamas is in the south of Israel. Right now, Hamas is trying to convince Hezbollah, let's attack Israel together. We've got a chance right now. That would be the fulfillment of Ezekiel 38 of when these enemies surround Israel. You say, what happens? Well, the Bible says that God will supernaturally step in and he will defend Israel and he will defeat all their enemies. Do you realize we could be watching that happen on our TVs right now? Right now. The question is, will the rapture take place before this or just after? What we know is after God defends it, there will be a man that will rise up and he will bring peace to the Jewish people. He's the Antichrist. That's how close we are to seeing biblical prophecy fulfilled right before our eyes. So I would ask you what my dad asked. If your heart were to stop, or if the trump of God were to sound, would you be ready to stand before God?
You know, a lot of these videos that I post, you can actually Google and you can see for yourselves. And you don't have to just take my word for it. You can actually see it and read it yourself. And if you've been paying attention here lately, the Euphrates River has completely dried up. And if you go to the book of Ezekiel, the book of Ezekiel has been playing this war out with Jerusalem and Iran word for word, chapter for chapter. And it's called now that it's calling for a nuclear attack. And it's only going to matter is who's going to drop the bomb. Is it going to be us? Is it going to be China, Russia? Or you pick your pick, take your name. Well, don't take my word for it. You can go and Google all this yourself. But I'm not here to scare anybody. I'm just here to speak the truth. This book is not fake anymore. we're beyond that now. We're fixing to be, well, we're at the point we need to pick teams. If we don't, it's going to get really bad really quick. If these bombs are dropped, it's going to fulfill the chapter of Ezekiel, and God's going to come to fruition, and it will be setting the tone for him to come back at some point.